In the history of mankind, the process of exchange is the process of the formation of money. Marx pointed out that as they develop, the interrelations of commodities crystallize into distinct aspects of the universal equivalent, and thus the exchange process becomes at the same time the process of formation of money. It should be noted that as early as several centuries before Christianity, precious metals, gold and silver, began to function as money. In some countries, either gold or silver served as money, and in others, both were used. The first instance is called monometallism, and the second bimetallism. There were cases when copper and its alloys or bronze were used as a money metal for a long time, but ultimately gold became the principal monetary material, the measure of value, and the main means of international payments were money, in fact. As a universal money material capable, as it were, of preserving its value when hoarded. Gold passed through the centuries from the money boxes and chests of satraps and slave traders into the safes and armor vaults of the tycoons of contemporary state monopoly capital. Gold is a measure of value because it itself has value. The relative magnitude of the value of gold is established at the site of its production and in direct trade. When gold goes into circulation as money, its value is already given as labor value. But to serve as a standard of prices, a definite weight of gold must be fixed as a unit of measurement. In actual circulation, the weight unit of gold cannot be established during every exchange or every purchase of a commodity. In ancient times, coins were introduced, originally as pieces of metal of a fixed weight, converted by minting into a definite shape. The British pound sterling was the money name of a pound of silver. But when silver yielded its place as a money commodity to gold, the name pound sterling was applied to a smaller quantity of gold. The pound as a monetary unit and as a unit for measuring of gold did not coincide. The weight of precious metal in coins is usually fixed by law and thus becomes mandatory. This was particularly important at the early stages in the development of commodity exchange, when precious metals, gold and silver, directly participated as money in acts of exchange, in the purchase and sale of commodities. Coins, as a legislative established money standard for prices, began to be used long before our era. This is confirmed by historical and archaeological evidence, in particular by the unearthing of coins themselves. Some authorities hold that metallic money appeared some 900 years before Christianity, and possibly even earlier, because the role of coins could be performed not only by money in our understanding of the term, but also by various rings, metal pins, and so on, serving as ornaments. These objects were constantly carried on one's person and participated in exchange, which at times assumed the form of a right, an exchange of gifts, concealing trade in commodities, and so on. Metallic money is known to have existed in Libya in 600 years before Christianity. In the 7th and 6th centuries before Christianity, money circulation became widespread in Greece, and thanks largely to the Greek colonies in the Mediterranean. This is demonstrated alongside other remains of ancient Hellenic culture by the coins of Greek cities with splendidly preserved minted portraits or scenes. Trade contacts between ancient peoples undoubtedly led to the gradual spread of minting know-how, but at that time there could be no international monetary system, although exchange and mutual settlements were apparently made at a certain parity. And more often, however, coins circulated only locally, and after conquest, the currency system of one people was imposed on another. Be that as it may, the circulation of metallic money developed further. In Rome, silver and copper coins depicting the two-faced god Janus and other deities, and battle scenes were used in the 3rd and 2nd centuries before Christianity. In the ancient world, metallic money circulation in the form of coins serviced chiefly the commodity exchange of the surplus product created either on slave-owning estates or in the subsistence farms of peasants grouped into communities. Such trade was necessarily limited and irregular. During more or less prolonged interruptions of the circulation process, money had to assume the form of hosts. And for this purpose, money made of precious metals was the most suitable. Such money and precious articles were used for the payment of tribute in ancient countries several centuries before our era. In some countries, such as Lydia, under Croesus around 500 years before Christianity, money circulation made great advances. Lydia is considered the first ancient country in which gold became the principal money metal. Substantial quantities of coins had to be minted even in ancient times. That is why both Oriental rulers and the authorities of ancient Greek city-states attached great importance to the minting of money. They introduced strict regulations governing the issue and circulation of coins. Persons who violated these regulations, especially counterfeiters, were punished severely. The most widespread method of counterfeiting coins in antiquity was to make coins out of base metals and then cover them with a thin layer of precious metal. The choice of a metal for minting money depended on its availability in the country. This explains why, in contrast to the prevalence of gold coins in the countries of Western Asia, copper coins were dominant in ancient Rome. The money systems of individual countries appear to have been closed. Such concepts as stable parity or exchange rate did not exist as yet. In view of the prevalence of direct commodity exchange, merchants who engaged in trade between countries did not need them, though a certain part of the commodities was probably paid for in local or foreign money. For local coins to gain the status of a means of payment beyond the bounds of their own country, only one thing was needed: the establishment of their full value. i.e., the content of the precious metal. This was done by waiting, listening to their ring, and even by testing their hardness with one's teeth or making an incision in the coin.